Right now, A to Z Sports Prime Time here on a Tuesday night. Sam Phelan here with you, recapping NFL free agency. That's what we're talking, and some Titans fan favorites are out as we look at what's next for the Titans and the Mike Borgonzi regime here. Some decisions being made. There was a lot of Titans news today, and not of the good variety, but a lot of familiar names signed contracts, found new homes, were announced to not be back. We'll give you the full update on everything Titans and free agency. Take a look at what they've done, who they've lost, and curious to kind of get a pulse check and approval rating on Mike Borgonzi. So that's what we have in store. Welcome in to A to Z Sports Primetime here on a Tuesday. It is March 11th. NFL free agency is here. The Titans are kind of active, but certainly at the center of the conversation. And before we get into all of our great show this evening, do me a favor, share the show. If you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and hit that share button in the bottom right corner. Get that out on the feed. If you're watching on YouTube, take that YouTube link, send it to a friend, to your Titans group chats. Make sure they're getting the link. Let them know that I've got all of the updates about everything Titans that has gone down over the last 48 hours, the latest updates today, and we're reacting to all of it live together here tonight. Let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports Primetime, not in the Zen Sports Studios tonight, and I am not Buck Rising. Sam Phelan here with you, as I am on Tuesday nights, and presented to you, as always, by Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer. Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet, or online at tworiversford.com for more information. Zen Sports, that is your place to bet. March Madness is coming up, so if you want to get in on the action for the tournament, promo code ATOZTN in the Zen Sports app. If you're in need of a new workout program, TrueMath Fitness is the place for you to go. No workout is ever recycled or repeated. You can go to TrueMathFitness.com for more information there. And of course, my friends at Bart Durham Injury Law, your big truck wreck or is their fight for justice. A crash can change your life forever. They're here to help and only one phone call away over at Bart Durham. All right. Titans free agency. We had the initial Tuesday sort of Monday wave. I'm getting my days mixed up here. Titans signed Dan Moore. Titans made an addition of Cody Barton. I think today was all about seeing what was next. Were the Titans going to go add an edge? Were they going to go add a wide receiver? What was the big storyline that was going to hit? And it was a different storyline than I expected, because there was a few things that transpired today that I think were shockers to the fan base. Shockers to me. Right. And so I think we're all a little bit surprised. People in the chat already a little bit upset. We are going to suck again. Couldn't match NWI. Mike Bell thinks the only thing is that NWI didn't want to be here. B. French is speechless. Buck has said that no offer was even given. People are clinically depressed. Now, listen, I was told that the Titans had a number in mind for Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. I anticipated them to leave him an offer sheet. And I'll be honest, the number that I anticipated the Titans to offer him was more than NWI ended up signing for. So let's go over everything that happened. Of course, the big news that everybody reacting to initially, the Dolphins have agreed to terms with wide receiver Nick Westbrook-Ikhine on a 2-year, $6.5 million contract with $3.2 million in guarantees, according to sources, after a 9 receiving touchdown season. NWI to Miami. And I talked earlier today on this morning's A to Z Sports Morning Show about what I thought NWI was going to get in free agency. Kenneth says, I thought he would get close to $10 million per. I think if you look at the market, I can pull it up right now. NFL, let's pull up the free agents. Let's pull up who has signed at the wide receiver position. You had Devontae Adams got 22 per year. Josh Palmer got 12 per year. Darius Slayton got 12 per year. Mac Hollins got 4.2 per year. Dyami Brown got $10 million on a one-year deal. If Dyami Brown at 25 years old, after a 300-yard season, just with one touchdown, I think, in the regular season, just because he had a strong playoffs, was going to get $10 million per year, I thought certainly Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, who posted 500 yards last year and 9 touchdowns for the Titans, a bad offense, only had 60 targets, had 500 yards, 9 touchdowns. I thought somebody would also, let's talk like special teams contributions, very reliable, intelligent football player, knows where to be, good teammate. That's Dyami Brown got 10 per year, 1 year, $10 million. I thought Nick Westbrook-Ikhine would get somewhere close to that. I thought the Titans would go up to 5, 6, 7 per year for NWI. If he was going to get a 2-year, $20 million deal, he was going to probably walk. And I had kind of accepted that. I think Titans fans would have understood that. But this $3.2 million per year, this is slightly above what he was getting paid last year. This is almost the minimum. This is an absolute drop in the bucket. I would agree with the chat that, I mean, if Nick Westbrook-Ikhine didn't want to be here, that is one thing. That is a possibility. If Buck is correct and there was no offer even made, that feels like questionable by the Titans. How are you not going to make him an offer? How are you not going to get competitive with that? Like, there is a and David Brown says, why isn't NWI getting paid like DJ Moore? A little throwback to the mid-season hype from our guy Buck. But it feels like malpractice to me by the Titans. It feels really questionable on how, by the way, your current wide receivers on this roster, Calvin Ridley, your number 2 is probably Bryce Oliver or Treylon Burks. You got Colton Dowell, Mason Kinsey. That is the room. There is nobody that is an NFL caliber wide receiver that is anywhere close to a wide receiver 2 on this team or a wide receiver 3. So it's a need, okay? And guys that have already come off the board, Davante Adams, Josh Palmer, Darius Slayton, Dyami Brown, Mac Hollins, Ashton Dulin, NWI, DeAndre Hopkins signed a contract with the Ravens, Braxton Berrios, Justin Watson, Zay Jones, Dante Pettis. It's starting to become slim pickings at wide receiver. You don't have a ton of draft capital in the top 100 to go and get guys. So I think Titans fans are rightfully discouraged by the lack of aggression here. Because did NWI at least get a bag? No, he did not. He got a bag relative to NWI terms, but you can't tell me the Titans couldn't have beat this offer. Can't tell me that. It's a weird move. It certainly makes me question what is the plan at wide receiver and how do they have a plan to have any sort of success? I talked about how the Dan Moore signing yesterday made me feel more confident than ever that the Titans are looking at Cam Ward with the number 1 overall pick. That is where I believe they are going to go. And yet, how can you justify having Cam Ward? You spend big on offensive tackle knowing that you need to help him, and his wide receiver 2 is Bryce Oliver? Demetrius thinks the Titans will draft a wide receiver in the second round, but therein lies the problem. If you draft a wide receiver in the second round, what are you going to do at edge? Because edge, it was every time I talk to a Titans coach or executive, the one thing they tell me about the 2024 season was, oh my God, our edge play was horrible. Harold Landry and Arden Key were bad. Arden Key is not meant to be a 3-down player. Harold Landry was bad. And so you cut Harold Landry. And you're just going to not add an edge rusher during free agency or the draft. Like, guys at the edge market are starting to come off the board as well. So this idea of like, oh, you'll draft a wide receiver in the second round. Well, that's your problem, is you still have to get edge rushers as well. They're starting to run into issues, and like guys like Nick Westbrook-Ikhine are coming off the board early. They're coming off the board for cheap, and you're not in that conversation. That wasn't the only surprise of the day, because there was a tweet that went out that the agent of Titans punter Ryan Stonehouse had said that the team was basically moving in another direction, sort of out of nowhere. This was a very unexpected move. The Titans were choosing not to bring him back, and were allowing Ryan Stonehouse to become an unrestricted free agent. Informed Stonehouse and his agent that he was not supposed to, that they were not planning to bring him back. Stonehouse put out this tweet confirming that news, saying, "Thank you, Nashville. Thankful for the relationships he made. Excited for what the future holds." And then moments later, the Titans agreed to terms on a fully guaranteed 1-year deal with Johnny Hekker. 4-time All-Pro punter Johnny Hekker. Relationship with Bones Fossil. And now the starting punter for the Tennessee Titans. Stonehouse, who knows? I think Denver makes a lot of sense for him. Denver just lost their punter, Riley Dixon, in free agency to Tampa Bay. Stonehouse went to Colorado State, but certainly a shocking sort of development. Stonehouse goes from, an all-time rookie punter, really turning heads, being consistently in the conversation for the Pro Bowl as, from the AFC. Broke the record for punts, for yards per punt as a rookie, tied that record in his second year, got hurt because the Titans couldn't protect him. And then they had a lot of issues this year covering kicks. And now it feels like they're pointing the finger in all the wrong directions. So you kind of blindside everybody with Stonehouse included. I had a chance to, catch up with him very briefly. The gist of that was he doesn't know what happened any more than we do. This is a surprise to him as much as it is to all of us. So there you go. And Hekker, 4-time Pro Bowler. But as Corey says here, he is 36. He's been doing this thing for a very long time. Johnny Hekker was a rookie back in 2012. In the St. Louis Rams days. He's 35, but he's going into his 14th NFL season, Johnny Hekker is. And 4-time All-Pro is on there. His last All-Pro or Pro Bowl was in 2017, which at this point now is 8 years ago. 2017 doesn't sound that long ago. It was 8 years ago that Johnny Hekker was an All-Pro punter. So let's make that clear. I think that is important context that is potentially left out of those tweets. On top of all of that, more Titans news. Jack Gibbons gone. Another move to me that I have to say feels questionable. You can say what you want about Jack Gibbens, whether or not he's worthy of being a starting inside linebacker. I think that's up for debate. He did end the season injured, which perhaps is a factor here. But my understanding was that he was going to be ready for the season. You just gave Barton $7 million per year, and you don't tender Jack Gibbens a contract. He can be your third or fourth inside linebacker. That's fine. You're giving away depth at a position that you're already weak at. It doesn't make sense. That I cannot wrap my head around that process from the Titans, especially when there is no plan in place to replace those guys. Luke Gifford, another guy, great point by Jeff, signed today as well with the 49ers. I know there was a whole contingent of players in the Titans locker room advocating hard to the front office to bring Luke Gifford back. He means a lot to their special teams. He was everything for their special teams. People were fighting to get Luke Gifford back. The Titans weren't interested. And he signed what? A $2 million deal? A $3 million deal? These guys don't have to be starters for you. But you're a bad team. And like Gifford is one thing because he's a vet. But like Jack Gibbens is a young linebacker. Ryan Stonehouse is a young punter going into year 4. Nick Westbrook-Ikhine is still a relatively young wide receiver. He's younger than all of the guys that are like options for you in the free agency market. He's going to be 28 this season. And so for a team that needs to get younger, you're letting cheap, controllable talent walk out the door. Is it the best talent in the world? No, you went 3-14 for a reason, because these guys probably aren't starters. But when it's cheap, when you have the cap space, I have a hard time seeing the vision. I'm not sure what is the point of not having Jack Gibbens in that linebacker room, because he's better than the guys that were there last year. He's not perfect, but he's better than Otis Reese. He's better than Cedric Gray. He's better than James Williams. Those guys could develop. Absolutely. James Williams is a guy specifically that has a lot of tools, could develop. Why not have both? Why not bring them both into camp? I don't get it. I will ask you guys this question. I'm curious where we come in on this. Given all of these moves, the lack of moves, the surprise that is some of these moves, worst move for the Titans, getting rid of Ryan Stonehouse or letting NWI walk? A worse move for the Titans, getting rid of Ryan Stonehouse and pushing him out the door, or letting Nick Westbrook-Ikhine walk away? Let me know in the chat. Very curious to see where we fall on this one. While you guys sound off in the comments, I'm going to tell you all about somebody who will never walk away from you, somebody who will never push you out the door, somebody who's always there and is trusted in the South. And it is Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer, because everywhere I go, I see a Ford Bronco on the road. There's so many options of Ford Broncos with color combinations and packages and trim levels. And that is why the Two Rivers Ford team is inviting you to get to know the Bronco with an open invitation. You don't even need to be in the market for a vehicle to go check it out. The Two Rivers Ford team has a team of Bronco experts on hand to introduce you to the Ford Bronco and answer some questions, let you test drive, show you the technology, the accessories, all of it. And remember, this team over at Two Rivers Ford, they don't even work on commission. They're just there to educate you and to answer questions and to introduce you to a really cool vehicle. It's one of many reasons why people love doing business with Two Rivers Ford, and it's why they are the South's most trusted Ford dealer. So go see my friends at Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet, just 7 miles east of the airport, and get to know the Ford Bronco. Two Rivers Ford is your Ford Bronco headquarters. All right, I asked you the question, a worse move for the Titans. getting rid of Ryan Stonehouse or letting Nick Westbrook-Ikhine walk. Stonehouse from Titan Kong, NWI from Tighten Up. I see Stonehouse, NWI, 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 Stonehouse, Clayton, DJ, George, B. French, Jacob, all on NWI. B. French thinks Stonehouse is a non-factor, which we'll get to. Matt says NWI walking is worse. NWI, getting rid of Stonehouse. Most people here saying letting NWI walk. I'm torn on this. I really am. I will say this about Ryan Stonehouse. I think he was set up to fail. I think he got boned by the Titans. The injury in 2023, not his fault. Totally on the Titans' fault. Craig Aukerman couldn't scheme up some punt protection. Got him popped twice in the same game. Torn ACL, broken leg in the same leg. A brutal injury for a very young, promising punter. Long offseason of rehab. He comes back, and he's less than 100%. And the Titans never prioritize special teams. Players like Elijah Molden, Hassan Haskins are sent packing to an organization in the Chargers that does value special teams. They're sent packing. All while your first-year special teams coordinator in Colt Anderson is sitting there, quote, assuming guys know what they're doing. Direct quote from the special teams coordinator who just assumed everybody had it figured out. Hey, you know, all these NFL guys that have played in the NFL and know how to play special teams, we're going to let them go. And then Bryce Oliver, hey, man, go cover this punt. I'm assuming you know how to do it. I spoke to Bryce Oliver's agent at the NFL Combine who told me before this year, Bryce Oliver had never played a single snap on special teams, even at Youngstown State. And we just assumed he knew what he was doing. That's what Colt Anderson thought. Now, thanks to Justin Hardy coming in, not only did the unit improve, but a player like Bryce Oliver actually developed into a really good gunner by the second half of the season. Got better in so many areas. Luke Gifford was able to teach guys how to protect. Now guys like Jalen Harrell are making special teams contributions. It was a work in progress. However, once Hardy was signed around the midway point of the season, the Titans punt team that we complained so much about, over 44 yards per punt in net punting, that was good for top 3 in the NFL. It was a top 3 unit for the back half of the season. Once you finally brought in competent players on special teams. Who would have thought? And yet, here we are pointing the finger at Ryan Stonehouse. And I don't really care. Johnny Hekker might be awesome this year. I think he's a very good punter. Like, there's a reason he's been in the league this long. He is consistent. He's played 14 seasons now, and he's not really missed a game ever. But there is a youth factor here. The same reason the Titans let Brett Kern walk to keep Ryan Stonehouse was to have long future of this punter position locked up, to keep the special teams unit solid. And now you're chasing away that guy, one of the more promising young punters in the game, for a 35-year-old veteran. Bad. Don't like it. Don't get it. And somehow Nick Westbrook-Ikhine is still worse. It is still worse not playing for NWI. And I don't even hate letting NWI go. If coming into the offseason, I expected them to let NWI go. But I hate what you let him go for and the fact that you haven't done anything else at the position. The Titans would, I will walk away from this take and say that I was wrong to criticize the NWI move if the Titans go and sign, Tyler Lockett and they bring in, Keenan Allen. If they go and they get Elijah Moore and Rondale Moore, and they go and make some moves on some legitimate wide receivers, then I'll say, okay, maybe you let NWI walk, and that's fine. But some of the guys that I wanted them to go grab, De'Ami Brown, Mac Hollins, Josh Palmer, off the market. Options are getting thin. You need more than one wide receiver. Oh, by the way, you probably need more than two. And I want to clarify this as well to Jason. He says, embrace the suck. It will be less painful. 100%. And I would iterate this message to all of you out there. Mike Borgonzi told us to lower our expectations. I have never had the expectation that the Titans were going to go and be competitive in 2025. But I do think rooting for sound process is different than rooting for the team to compete. The moves that we are all asking for the Titans to make is not moves that puts them in playoff contention. We're not sitting here saying, go and spend big money on the top guy at every position. We don't want Devontae Adams and Stephon Diggs. We're not that's not what we're asking for. We are asking for competent process. And the process of potentially bringing in a rookie quarterback and giving him nobody to throw to when you have guys to throw to that you can match a contract for cheap, that's negligence on a front office. And it's a long offseason. So perhaps I and everybody else need to pump the brakes a little bit. But it is confusing to watch the team just kind of choose not to bring back quality players to the football team when they have the cap space to do so. And in the case of Ryan Stonehouse, actively chase away quality football players that want to be here. Ryan Stonehouse wants to stay. He wants to be a Titan. He wants to remain in Nashville. And now he can't, and he's probably better off for it. Is it a true rebuild? Maybe. I would argue with some of the moves the Titans are making if it's a true rebuild. I guess that is where I'm confused, right? Why are we signing, for example, Xavier Woods to a contract? And I like that. I like that signing. I think that's a good signing by the Titans. But we're signing Xavier Woods to a contract as a veteran safety to go start at safety. But we don't want to do anything at wide receiver. We want to get rid of all the wide receivers that we have. We want to spend huge at left tackle for Dan Moore. Give him more money than he's worth. But we want to bargain bin hunt on inside linebacker and also get rid of all of our inside linebacker depth. $2 million for Jack Gibbons isn't breaking the budget. $3 million for Luke Gifford isn't breaking the budget. And the Titans are unquestionably a better football team with those guys. No, I don't think they're going to get Stephon Diggs. I don't think they are going to do much of anything at wide receiver. I think it'll be, if I look at the list right now, what is my prediction for wide receiver? Maybe Greg Dortch. Maybe Jalen Reagor. maybe Noah Brown, maybe Zacchaeus from Washington. Maybe one or two of those guys. Maybe a guy in round 4 or 5. Elijah, I agree with Brad here. I think a guy like Elijah Moore is probably the ceiling of what they could get. Tim Patrick, maybe. I don't hate that. He's still available as of now. I don't know what they're going to do at returner either, because I was kind of banking and hoping that Bones Fossil would go and get his guy Kevontae Turpin from Dallas and bring him in, but he is back to the Cowboys on a contract. So maybe Dortch, as Edward says here, is the wide receiver that also returns kicks. It's puzzling right now. That's the best I can say it. Like, a lot of offseason to go. You cannot judge an offseason after 2 days of free agency. Absolutely not. But I don't question anybody that's feeling a little bit doom and gloom about the state of things right now. Let's talk about potentially what we want to see come next, right? Because we know what they've done. They've made a couple of moves, most notably Dan Moore. Here's Ian Rappaport talking a little bit about the Titans' new left tackle.
Let's talk about the Tennessee Titans and a key addition on their offensive line. Sources say they've agreed to terms with Dan Moore, the standout left tackle for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He gets a 4-year, $82 million deal. That's real money. $82 million, $50 guaranteed, $30 in year one. This deal done by Jeff Nalley of CAA, the biggest tackle deal we have seen. I know a lot of people watching this are like, who the heck is Dan Moore? Most people have no idea. He is very good. Very, very good. Mostly anonymous. Part of the reason you don't really know is because if you're a good left tackle, you got to spot shadow him. If you're a good left tackle and people haven't heard of you, that means you're not getting beat a lot. The Tennessee Titans had a significant need on the left side of their offensive line. It is worth spending money to get it. They are building through the trenches, trying to build the right way. Dan Moore now headed to Tennessee to provide protection for their quarterback, whoever it ends up being.
Yeah, so
Ian Rappaport on Dan Moore, certainly more optimistic from Ian Rappaport than I think a lot of Titans fans are about the move. Dan Moore, a very controversial player, but it is solving a position that the Titans needed to upgrade on the offensive line. They get a left tackle. They move J.C. Latham to right tackle. That's not the only problem. So what should the next move be for the Titans in free agency? What should the next move be for the Titans in free agency? Call your shot if it's a position, if it's a player. Let me hear it. I want to know what you think. I also see somebody that wants to know how old new Titans safety Xavier Woods is. He is 29. He will be 30 by the start of the season. This will be his 9th NFL season as he turns 30 years old by week 1, to answer your question, Jeff. But what should be the next move for the Titans in free agency? Let me know in the comments. And while you guys do that, I'm going to let you know about my guy, Gary Ashton. Gary Ashton, he is the official realtor of the Nashville Predators. Don't sell without the intel. Get your dream address without the stress. All of the intel that you need to succeed is over there with Gary, the official realtor of the Nashville Predators, at GaryAshton.com. Also let you know where you can get your workout in, and it is TrueMav, TrueMavFitness.com. Get your first workout free as a Middle Tennessee resident. No workout is ever recycled or repeated at TrueMav. They've got personal training, group fitness classes, and memberships that also offer an open gym. No better place to go than TrueMav Fitness in the Gulch, and visit TrueMavFitness.com. Okay, let's see what you guys think. What is the next move? What is next up for Tennessee in free agency? We've got edge from Ryan Walker, a young edge guy, edge and whiteout, wide receiver and edge, right guard is what Ryan believes. Wide receiver, Tevin Jenkins calling the shot on the player, which would be a right guard for Tennessee. A speedy wide receiver, an edge or a wide receiver, another edge, QB. Andy wants a QB. I'm good on the guys that are still out there. Azeez Ojulari should be signed, is where Curtis is at. I think I'm actually in agreement on the exact player that Curtis is narrowing in on. Signed Trey Lance. No, thank you. Wide receiver, edge, or right guard. We've got, let's see what else we've got here. Zadarius Smith. We've got people asking for edge, people asking for QB. Carson Wentz. Again, no thank you. Wide receiver, Stephon Diggs. Cooper Kupp, who just became a free agent. Gord wants a wide receiver. I think the one thing, what is next? That's tough. I mean, I think you guys are on it. Wide receiver or edge. It has to be one of the two. If I'm being honest, what is next is edge. I think that is the bigger priority for the Titans right now. And I think it's a little bit of a thinner group. Maybe it's Matt Judon, Zadarius Smith. I actually like Larry Ogunjobi a little bit. I think you are more at risk of running out of like actual impact options, right? There's a lot of depth at edge, but you want to get somebody who can affect the passer. That is an actual factor for you. And there's not too many of those guys left. Josh Sweat, Chase Young, Dayo Odeyingbo, Tershawn Wharton, Harold Landry, Poona Ford, Michael Heicht. I don't know how to say that name. Patrick Jones, Chauncey Golston, Hassan Reddick, Malcolm Kuntz. All these guys, they've signed. Leonard Floyd signed today. Go and get yourself an edge is the next one. At this point at wide receiver, you're playing in a tier that is not like we know what they're going to, this is why it's edge over receiver for me. We know what they're going to get at receiver. They're not looking for a wide receiver 2. Being realistic, they're not. They're looking for a slew of random guys that are wide receiver 3 or 4s that they can pretend are wide receiver 2s. Elijah Moore, Greg Dortch, Rondale Moore, yada, yada. Olamide Zaccheaus. There's a lot of options and a lot of depth still remaining at that position there. And it's not a happy, satisfying option for the Titans to settle for those guys, but because that's what they're going to do, I don't see how you come away from free agency without an impactful edge rusher, though. And a legitimately impactful edge rusher, there's only a few left. So that is where I think the Titans go next. One last question for you guys here on a Tuesday, so we don't run too long here. Do you approve of the job? Like, I'm gonna qualify this question before I ask it. Let's try to be mindful of the situation, the fact that this is a rebuild, the fact that this team went 3-14. Try to see the bigger picture. Where nobody's happy with where the Titans are. Nobody's happy with the direction of the franchise right now. But do you approve of the job Mike Borgonzi has done as Titans GM thus far? Where is our approval rating? Do you approve of Mike Borgonzi and the job? Jason says, hell no, before you even ask, which I think is funny. Josh says he's dissatisfied. Show me a direction. It's hard to follow. Clayton is satisfied. Matt thinks it's too early to tell. Sean is not happy. James says yes, he does approve. Eric says, what's there to be upset about? Zedro is satisfied. Major Keys is not. B French says he can't judge it. Borg says, approved of day 1, not of day 2. So here we are. We're 2 days into the free agency period. 1 good day, 1 bad day. Matthew says no. Jay says no. Hassan says yes. Michael says jury is still out. Curtis doesn't know. Incomplete. So people are still waiting until the draft. And I have to say, I think that's a very reasonable opinion. I think this show, right, what we've just done is we've talked about the Titans' moves and their lack of moves. And I think there is reason to be happy about some of them. And there are fair criticisms to be had about what Mike Borgonzi and the front office has done thus far. But as I said earlier, you cannot judge an offseason by 2 days in free agency, nor can you judge a front office by 2 days in free agency. There is a whole draft to come. And I think it is a separate question we can address closer to the draft. But I'm curious to know what it would say. Yeah, and to be fair, A- says, I did say thus far, right? So through 2 days, do you feel like you like the way that this is going? And I think that depends on what your goal is for the long-term picture of the Titans. I think this is trending towards Brian Callahan is fired. The entire coaching staff is fired. The Titans bottom out. They have a really disgusting, bad, horrible year in 2025. And they have a bunch of draft picks in 2026. And if it's that hard reset type of rebuild that you think is best for the organization, then you probably do approve of what Mike Borgonzi has done thus far. If your goal for where the Titans need to be in 2025 is making progress towards being competitive, I don't think they've gotten better as a football team really in free agency thus far. I think it's marginal at most, which is a disappointment. So a lot of time left, but I will be curious to see once free agency has been played out 3 or 4 weeks from now, and we are chomping at the bit for draft to get here, what Mike Borgonzi needs to do in the draft to get Titans fans happy with the offseason as a whole. It's a different conversation. And I think I agree with Brian. I think right. This is actually, I'm going to save this because I got 3 morning shows to do with Easton Freeze on the A to Z Sports Morning Show. So sometime this week, maybe tomorrow, we will have the debate. As of right now, did the Titans get worse or did they get better through 2 days of free agency? Fun little debate. I don't know if Easton and I are going to see eye to eye on it, but it'll be fun. All right. That's all for me. Robert, are you with me? You've got something for viral today that I have not seen. I have no idea what to expect.
Great. That's exactly what I was looking for, Sam, because I don't know if you're familiar with the Virginia track scene, but there was an assault that happened this week on the track in the middle of the 4x200 meter relay. There was an assault. And, I'm not ready to buy it yet. I think we have to hear from the woman who is the alleged assaulter, and I think we need to see the video. So we'll watch this. And then
let me preface the video real quick, because I will say, I think I've seen the video, but when I saw the video, I was under the presupposition that it was accidental. I have not seen the assault allegations. So this is now piquing my interest significantly more, knowing that there's an assault allegation.
All right. Happens at the top of the corner as they're coming out right before the straightaway is where the alleged assault happens. Let's hear her comments and we'll take a look at it.
He has feelings. So you're physically hurt, but you're not thinking of my mental, right? They're going off of one angle. A couple times hitting her, my baton got stuck behind her back like this, and it rolled up her back. I lost my balance, and when I pumped my arms again, she got hit. I know my intentions, and I would never hit somebody on purpose. They're assuming my character, calling me ghetto, racist slurs, death threats, all of this just because of a 9-second video.
Now, see, wow. I'm not down with the death threats. I'm not down with the racial slurs. I'm not down with any of that. But you know what? Maybe the video was too small. Maybe we couldn't see it. So I pulled up an enlarged video. We'll get the full, like, CSI enhance. Let's enhance the hell out of this video and see if she hits it. Oh yeah, that's assault, brother.
Run it back one more time. Run it back one more time. She I'll be honest, she had me for a little bit. So the way my thought process went right there was clearly smacked her, to hearing her cry and watch the video where I was like, I think she lost her balance. I can see that where it was kind of incidental, and because it wasn't like a deliberate. It was more of like a weird arm angle that is like, okay, I could have seen how that was slightly unintentional. But then when I rewatched it on the extra enhance, I don't see the contact that she alleges on her claims. She says what? Her baton got caught on the girl's back.
Yeah, and my baton got caught behind her.
She lost her balance and swung her arm forward after losing her balance. But that's what she's saying, and that's what I'm watching for. I don't see her feet. We can go one more time, but I don't see her feet ever become off balance during that run.
So On3 put out an article where they interviewed the assaultee, and good on On3 because they knew that this girl was getting death threats and racial slurs and everything. They voided her name from the story. So I will say that obviously this girl's in high school. Obviously this girl is an underage girl. So like, props to On3 for not allowing people to pile on her. She's getting her just due, I'm sure, with social media. But in the article, Tucker, who is the assaultee, says, when you go to the other side of the track, you have to cross into one lane. You have to merge in. As I was coming up on her, she kind of like made me get cut off a little bit. So I backed away. Then as we were getting around the curve, she kept bumping me in the arm. So then finally we got off the curb and I slowly started passing her. And that's when she hit me with the baton and I fell off the track. I love that Weekend Bunny said, can you slow it down? I'm glad you are not. I hope you are never on a jury of someone that's assaulting me, because you need this to be slowed down to see if she hits her.
Yeah, I mean, one more time, and don't look at the motion of her hitting her. Simply watch the girl passing her. I'm looking for contact. Try to find me contact. You can't do it. One more time. There's no contact there. I think I love the description by the victim here, because I think it's exactly what my theory was going to be about what happened. I do buy that the tears of the one girl are genuine tears. Let me say that. Genuine tears. She's very upset. I think she feels bad. But these are not tears as they're maligning my character. This is the, oh shit, I got caught tears.
Yep.
These are the, I mean, I watch those police videos on like YouTube all the time, where it's like the body cam footage and stuff. You see all the documentaries all the time. Criminals that are very guilty criminals cry when they're caught. Like they cry as soon as they're talking to the cops, because there is that realization of, oh, I acted out of emotion just then, and reality's hitting me right now of I am guilty and I'm going to jail and this is really bad. And so it starts to panic. I think this girl is talking about something that she regrets, but I think what happens is they are running. They are going to merge into one lane. The one girl is passing her. It is a little bit of a contact competitive run before that corner. And then when she is finally passed, and it's another time it happens, I think it's a little bit of that like road rage, just that like, get out of here. And the next thing you know, you've like fractured her skull and she's on the ground, and you probably didn't even mean to do that damage. You just meant to like whack her and be like, hey, get out of here, you jerk, kind of a thing. And this is
Right.
what we ended up with.
And also they're kids, man. Like when you're a competitor and you're young and it's tough to fight off that rage. Like I get it. I did stupid things when I competed in youth sports too. I never hit anybody with a baton because I wasn't racing nobody. I was too round. But the local TV station that covered the event, WSLS, states that she reportedly suffered a concussion and a possible skull fracture. And also the assaulter's high school was disqualified from the event as a result of the runner's action. So the school was held in account for that, and I'm sure she will as well. It also notes at the end that there were no legal charges that have been filed as of this article writing. So maybe this is something they can figure out on their own and just chalk it up to as a learning experience. But I do love the side by side of I didn't mean you see what happened was, when you're running and just running like this.
Who among us hasn't run like this and whacked somebody with a baton?
She had a bee on her head. That girl saved her life. She was worried about anaphylactic shock. That's what she was worried about.
I love it. That is, I saw the video from a different angle, and I was completely blind to this whole story, and this makes it that much. I thought it was an incidental, because the version that I saw it from was almost from directly behind the two runners, and so it looked like they were just swinging arms, and one of them got hit somehow, and I was kind of like, how the heck did that happen? Couldn't even tell somebody was really injured on the video that I saw. This adds a whole nother layer to it and is way more interesting. This is funny to me.
Just like Mr. Jones says, if you ain't rubbing, you ain't racing.
I love that. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yeah, this girl would not do very well in NASCAR.
Yeah, right. Appreciate it, Sam. Thanks, man.
All right. That's all for me tonight. Thanks to Bert for that great little bit there at the end. Thanks to all of you guys for hanging out. I will be back tomorrow morning on the A to Z Sports Morning Show with Easton Freeze, talking about a lot of these moves, I'm sure, and then having that debate. Titans, better or worse after the first 2 days of free agency? Make sure you're tuning in for that and keeping it locked on A2Zsports.com for all of our free agency and Titans offseason coverage. Buck Rising tomorrow night, back with A to Z Primetime. Till then, tighten up. We'll see you later.
Go home. Go home.